And bird watching has been one of my keen interests, and I've been pursuing. One second, it's jumped. So bird watching has been a keen interest of mine, and I've been for the last 5 years at least. I've been trying to up my skills, study about ornithology. I've done a course in ornithology from BNHS, that is Bombay Natural History Society, and also I've done a course with INHER, which is based in Pune. It's also a natural history education provider. So then what happened is I'll just tell you a bit about that's about me. Nothing much other than I'm a wildlifer, and other than bird watching, my other interests are in I'm an apiculturist also. So I've done a course in beekeeping. Then I keep a lot of aquariums, so that is another interest, and everything related to wildlife. So big year basically is a thing that started in the US, somewhere in US, and it became a popular culture. So what used to happen is earlier, long time back in the early 1900s or 19th century, just at the turn of the 19th century, hunting was rampant. So during Christmas, people used to hunt birds, and the count on that day was taken as the big day. It started with hunting. And then gradually, one individual, one nice gentleman decided ki no, instead you record the kind of birds you see, and it gradually grew into a big year. Though you record the number of birds you see in a whole year in a city or in a town or in a country. So especially in US, it's quite popular, and it's not a I would say not a monetized competition. It's a self uh, driven competition. So you are not competing with anyone else. It's just a challenge for you. And then a few years back, I also happened to see the movie Big Year by the same name, The Big Year. So that was also at the back of my mind. And then lockdown happened, and things really became a little frustrating. And just a second, yeah. So then just after the lockdown was getting over, I was like, there was an itch. I wanted to travel, I wanted to move, see the world. And I said, why world? India is sufficient. So that twitch, I will tell you what twitch is. So that twitch itch was there. So then at the beginning of 2022, I decided, ki, let's do a big year. So twitching in bird watching basically means if I would say, let's assume this Hume's hawk owl, it's found in the Andaman. So if I want to see this bird, I would have to go to the Andaman. So I am going to a specific place to watch a specific bird. So that is called twitching. A rare bird has turned up in maybe in Delhi or say in Pune where I live, and then I would go and people turn up to watch that particular bird. So that is called twitching. So that's how this began. So now the challenges with birding would include, especially for a big year, is the planning and execution. So I was a bit weak there because my purpose was not only just to have a big year in terms of the number of birds I see, but I wanted to enjoy the whole journey. And accordingly, I planned many other facets in my bird watching, which I'll tell you about gradually. So planning is important because you need to decide when the winter migrants come in, which are the locations, where do you have to go through the whole year. And the challenge is setting the pace. If you plan to travel the whole year, you will have momentum, you will lose momentum. So there is motivation, and then occasionally you will have self doubt. Okay, there might be financial constraints. I had many, and then traveling also becomes tough in conditions in India. So there were, but within me, I had that drive to achieve, and I said, okay, let's see. We'll go 1 month at a time. And in if you're doing birding in India and you want to do a big year, then the northeast is very important. 900 plus species are seen in northeast India itself. So I mean, the possibility is very high, and if you don't cover that region, you will not end up with a big number. So I crossed 900. That was the barrier I was able to cross. But then that was not the whole purpose. Then you have to keep track of the changing seasons and unforeseen events. And there were many I will tell you about as we move across. And then there will be lean months. Like for me, I stopped traveling in July, and that was the time I again prepared for the coming days. And then, of course, twitching. Without twitching, you will not be able to see all the birds or as many birds you plan to see. So you need to have a target-based birding where you're heading, what are the species you need to see. So this is the vernal hanging parrot. It's the only parrot found in India. The other also belong to the parrot species, which are the parakeets, which are found in India. But this is the only hanging parrot which is found in India. So this was my road to the big ear. To minimize this. Oh, you must be able to see the two line graphs. Basically, it's depicting the number of species that I was observing in a month. This blue line tells you the number of species I was observing every month. But the green line actually tells the new species. I mean, added the species that used to get added to the numbers which I was already having watched, the birds I had watched. So as you can see, April it dropped, July it was three, only three species. I observed 100 birds, but only three new got added to my list. In April, I watched 122 birds, but then only 13 were uh, new to my year list. The speckled wood pigeon is a picture from Sikkim, and the great Indian buzzard obviously is from Rajasthan, Thar. So this was my travel calendar. I'll just go back again. The dips, what happened is as I started my big year around January 5th, the first trip happened was in Goa. That was my first location. And on the way back, the trip started with my wife. And on the way back, we contracted COVID. So then the plans for Jan fell short and the whole month was lost after that. Otherwise, January was a time to set the pace, but still it was a good numbers, 279. Then February, there were some trips happening in February. I visited Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, and Orissa. Madhya Pradesh, I went for a uh, survey in Kanha. So that was a wonderful experience. And while I was in Orissa, I got a call that my father's ill. So again, he was hospitalized, so I had to stop birding and head to Orissa. Then another dip was in July and April as well. April, we follow Ramzan, so the whole month of April went away in fasting and not traveling. So that was another dip. And July was the dip when it was the peak of the monsoon and not much travel was happening. So after that, it was quite a rise, at least in the number of species I was sighting, as against the new species getting added for the year. So this was my travel calendar. In January, I covered Maharashtra, Goa, and Gujarat. Gujarat, I extended till February. So basically, I did the Kutch region and went to the coastal area, Jamnagar, and water bodies like Nal Sarovar. Madhya Pradesh, I covered only through the bird survey at Kanha National Park. So that was a wonderful experience. For Orissa, I went to Bhitarkanika National Park for the mangrove species. Then March, the whole month, I was away, and my companion was my wife Mariam. So that was a good time we had. So we covered Assam, Arunachal, Meghalaya. Uh, Majorly, it was Assam and Arunachal. We covered the eastern part of Arunachal, so Mishimi Hills and Assam also that side. Then on the way back, we came back to the month of April, which was a lean month. Again, May decided to have a road trip with my friends. So the plan was would obviously the number of species I would add was going to be there was going to be a dip, but I wanted to cover a lot of national parks and tiger reserves. So we did Corbett, Rajaji, and Dudhwa, and all the nearby places. So the whole month of May was a road trip. Then coming back again in June, it was a trip. I needed to utilize June Then up till May, I had a plan in my mind, and it was going as per schedule. In June, it was a sudden plan that was made. So Sikkim and Darjeeling was covered. So West Bengal was the part, Lat Panchar and Darjeeling. These are key birding areas. I'll be talking about the species in the next slides, which species I've watched. And then July was a lean month. August again, the only major trip happened was to Ladakh. Without Ladakh, again, I would be missing out on the key species in that region. Although Kashmir should have happened somewhere between, if you're planning a big year, then you need to have Jammu and Kashmir also in your plans. And Kashmir, at least you need two visits. One is in the winter and one is in the summer. So during winters, you would get species. Am I audible? It's quite quiet as, I mean, it's very,
Yes, absolutely, no problem.
all right, great.
Right.
So Kashmir needs to be done in winter as well. When the birds, which high altitude birds would generally descend down for a lack of food sources. So then that's a good time when you can actually get them at lower altitudes. So when you're talking about birds, in general, in different altitudes, the diversity varies. So that's latitudinal also plays a very important thing in bird watching. And after August, then September, October, November, December were key months, and during September, a lot of birding happened. And one of the trips was the deep sea trip, which was pelagic. And during that time, my friend Francis also was there, and in fact, he helped me arrange it. And we had a great time exploring Udupi area and Mangalore area besides the pelagic. Gujarat again, I did for the passage migrants. There are certain birds which pass through India heading towards the wintering ground. So September is the time they are passing through India, and the western front is the place you would get to see these species. There was in fact a unique sighting in Pune as well. A spotted flycatcher was sighted in Pune. So I was lucky to be in Pune that time. So after coming back from Gujarat, having seen that bird in Gujarat, I happened to see in my neighborhood. So that was a wonderful thing. Then October I covered Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. So South, I hadn't touched South primarily till now. So then, except for parts of Karnataka. So then, now I really went to the Nilgiri Hills and down south in Kerala. In November, the regions I covered was Rajasthan and Andaman. Again, the northwestern region is quite important for watching the observing the key species. So my trips, most of the month I was traveling to. I mean, I was out of Pune. So if I would put the number, near about 200 days, I was outside of Maharashtra. And other than that, also birding was continuously on. Every single day I was birding. If nothing, I was observing a common myna, a house crow, or a sparrow. So it was fantastic year that. In December, it was the only time I would have had to cover up for the species I couldn't make up. So due to certain challenges, Arunachal, I couldn't do Western Arunachal. Again, I happened to repeat the same trip, which is the eastern part of Arunachal. But this time I went up to Wolong, and I only came back to Pune around New Year's time. So these are some of the species we'll discuss about. So while traveling between east to west, covering Maharashtra, Orissa, West Bengal. So the brown winged kingfisher and the mangrove pinta were my key sightings in Orissa at Bhitarkanika National Park. And during my Kana survey, the only species I was able to add was the Indian nuthatch, a key bird which I had been looking for, and finally I got it at Kana. And while in West Bengal, Lat Panchar, this beauty, the rufous neck hornbill, graced, and it was fantastic. And basically, to watch the bird, it was raining in Sikkim all the time during our travels in June. And for this species, we had to descend a hill And in 5 minutes, we were all wet and drenched, not because of rain, but because of the humidity. And anyways, now this bird was nesting, and this is the male. So the female was had set up the nest inside a tree trunk, and it locks itself inside the nest, only leaving a small vertical cleft from where the male is able to provide the food. So the male used to go hunting and come back after an hour. So just to get that few seconds of a glimpse of the whole interaction happening between the male and the trapped female, we had to sit like 2.5 hours and then got to see the whole activity twice. It was a fantastic experience, worth the sweat. Again, white stock. I was in Gujarat and I was heading from Nelsarovar towards Rajkot. And on the way, there was a blotch of white which was visible by the river which we were crossing. I don't remember the river. So it happened to be white stock. So this was a fantastic sighting. And this marble duck had grazed Nalsaror, which is in Gujarat near Ahmedabad. So I went for twitching this bird, the marble duck. Uh, Goa was one of my first places that I started birding in India. I mean, for 2022, and we were just resting somewhere, and there was a shallow stream flowing there in the woods in Bondla, and suddenly I happened to see a flash of red come and uh, come and land by the stream. So this is that click from Goa, the Malabar Trogon. And another key species that I always go and watch in Goa is the Sri Lanka frogmouth. Obviously, they are downwards, they're visible up to Kerala. Then this white-winged black tern or white-winged black tern happened to grace Pune near water body, which is the backwaters, Bhigwan. So I had just happened to go there for casual birding while I was in Pune during the month of April or so, and this bird was among the breeding whiskered terns. So I was the lucky one, got this shot. Otherwise, the white-winged black tern is very difficult to identify when it's in non-breeding plumage, and I would have had to go back to Gujarat to watch this bird during the monsoons or the breeding season. For Indian blue robin, my friend Francis was very helpful. I wanted to watch this bird, so we went to Bhitarkanika. My wife was there along with me, Mariam, and I couldn't find the bird. The bird actually requires a moist environment, and it stays hidden in the bushes. So I was not sure where to search in Bhitarkanika. So I made a video call to Francis, and he explained to me the area, and then we were able to spot this bird and observed it for a long time.
That was Bhima Shankar.
Yes, sorry. What did I say? I said
Bhima
Bhitarkanika,
Shankar.
I think. So yeah, sorry, Bhima Shankar, near Pune, about 100 kilometers. So this was a wonderful sighting, and no calls were played. The sighting was, I mean, on its own, and then the bird came out, used to feed on the ground, and then come and perch on the rock occasionally. So that's the click. So after east to west, went to northeast, and these were some of my key sightings. So the gray peacock pheasant, the wood duck, and the adjutant are from Assam. What happened is the gray peacock pheasant, I had been looking for this bird in 2021 as well. So this bird is very noisy. It's calling out all the time. This is the only noise, the song, in fact, I would say. It's not noise, it's quite beautiful. You will be able to hear in the forest in Assam and Arunachal. And you will hear it throughout the time you're birding, but this bird will not show itself. And I had given up. I had just recorded this bird as called heard and just left it at that. But one fine day, I was just walking in Dihing Patkai National Park in Assam, near Digboi oil fields, and someone there was another guide. He said, peacock pheasant is here. I was like, are you joking? And then we just went inside the trail, and it was right there. So that was a fantastic sighting. When you're not looking for something, you'll always find it. So I was lucky with that. Again, the white-winged wood duck. In fact, I had the WTI, Wildlife Trust of India. They were conducting a survey on possible habitats of white-winged wood duck in 2021. It's still going on. So I had gone along with one of the researchers in 21 to Pakke Tiger Reserve, and we used to explore the habitat, trying to find the bird. And one day we did see it fly. So the possibility of finding the duck in Arunachal was confirmed. But then the bird always eluded me. We tried to go to Nameri to look for the bird, didn't work out. Ding Patkai I had done in March as well, didn't work out. I had spent another 4 days in December in Ding Patkai, and the bird still eluded me. One fine evening, there was this guide Vijay, and my friend was there from the one with whom I had done the road trip in Corbett. So I decided, in fact, I insisted the elephants were reported to be nearby. So we were supposed to vacate the small pool which was there. Basically, these pools are excavation sites for oil, which is what I've been told by one of the researchers. So now they are beautiful habitats for the duck. So it was almost dusk, and then suddenly I noticed these birds come in. So a pair had landed, but they didn't stay for long. And I was the only one who had noticed. The other guys were like just tired. So I got some click at least. So that was a fantastic sighting for me. I did observe them with binoculars first, and I enjoyed that much more. And then by the time I lifted my camera, they flew. Again, this pic of red face, sorry, the greater adjutant is again in the garbage dump site. So I hired a bike in, where was this, Guwahati, and then I took it to the dump yard. And the dump yard is now given in contract, so they were not allowing me to enter. And somehow the owner came, and I tried to explain him, saying to him that I'm doing a big year. I wanted to look at this bird, and he was confused. Why do you want to come to a garbage site to watch a bird? But then we became good friends, and then this happened. So the birds and humans, they are like, uh, one is feeding, the other one is working, and there is cattle as well. Everyone is scavenging. There are kites, there are eagles, in fact. So the greater adjutant is a sight to see. Uh, I wanted to show the human and animal interaction, so that's why I put this picture. The red-faced Leo Chikla, what happened is we were in Sikkim, and we were in Peeling, and it was raining heavily. And I actually, eBird is a fantastic tool to know where birds are being reported. So I looked at eBird, and I got to know that red-faced Leo Chikla is being sighted and nearby. So I contacted the guy. He said you need to enter a private space, and possibility of sighting it in the garden is there. So we went there early in the morning, and it was raining heavily. We had umbrellas on our hand, and suddenly this bird appeared, and I was the only one. Again, I was the only lucky one standing there, and everyone had scattered and looking. Everyone, as in my wife and the driver, they're also looking for the bird. So I was the only one to get a click. It was a quite a low light picture, but this is all I could get. But I was very happy. So that's Sikkim. And another fantastic bird from Sikkim is the fire-tailed Myzonis. We were in Zuluk, about, I don't remember the altitude, but Zuluk is a fantastic motorable area, and it was very foggy. Uh, Again, because this was a monsoon season, the visibility was zero. But this bird happened to come and perch just a meter away. So after editing the image, that's why the detail is uh, completely there. These three birds, Hill Prenia, the gold shortwing, and Chinese vivid Niltava, are from Arunachal. Again, Chinese vivid Niltava is one bird I had always wanted to uh, search, but this is one bird you can't search unless someone has reported it. So it was a chance sighting for me. Hill Prenia is only found in the Namdafa National Park area. which is the extreme part of Arunachal. And we are lucky to see this bird just come out and go about its business. This gold shortwing is from Mishimi, so Mayodhya Pass, which is the very important birding site if you would like to do bird watching in Arunachal. So now this is the north and the northwest. So starting with Ladakh, we were in Ladakh in August, and snowcocks were eluding us, and I was quite upset not having seen the Himalayan snowcock, and even the Tibetan snowcock wasn't visible. So we started from Hanle, if I'm not wrong, and we are just heading back. And then I asked the guide to just keep a lookout for the bird, but he was like, "Ab to nahi milega," kind of. So one random area, it was quite rocky, and the mountains were massive. I just said, "Let's stop here and just look around." And our guide, he just went ahead, and we was hanging around. And suddenly my wife, again, this trip was with her, so she did a big year partially with me. So, and then she happened to notice that the rocks are moving a little below. And then I was like, thank God you've just spotted the Tibetan snowcock. And then I went down, and then after seeing our vehicle, another few vehicles also stopped by, and they also got to see the Tibetan snowcock. So that was a fortunate sighting. Again, likewise, twice what happened was we were stuck in a traffic roadblock. The BRO was working on the roads, and it was a roadblock for like 1 hour or so. So I just got down from that traffic thing, and then I said I'll just loiter around casually, and that's when I spotted these white. It was a more than they were more than a dozen, not in the picture though. So now, while in the road during the road trip in May, around Corbett, we are in the canter. So this lucky sighting of tawny fish owl, which was visible from the canter, was fantastic. So didn't have to do a jeep safari for the owl. And I was with my friend, so they had booked the canter for the next day as well, but I couldn't get a booking. So I just took his vehicle, and I was hanging around the Mohan area, if I'm not wrong. And I was looking for the black chin babbler, and I happened to see it. It's a beautiful little bird. It's not a rare sighting, but then it's a fantastic first sighting for me. Again, in Uttarakhand and UP, in the forest, Indian pitta is quite common there. So we used to hear it throughout the day, and multiple number of sightings happened. So this bird needs a special mention. And the other end is, I think I've mixed up a photo. Yeah, Rajasthan. Okay. Before that, Himalayan Morel is one bird I could not miss out. So we were in Chopta, and what's the name of the national park? I just can't recall. But then Monal was sighted there. And then this is Rajasthan. The Indian spotted creeper was another bird I was switching for, and then was lucky to find it. Eurasian hobby even is observed in Pune. I went for this bird in Kutch area, but this bird had eluded me. In fact, the hobby and Merlin were two birds which I was struggling to find. And finally, I went to the Sambar Lake, and behold, the hobby was there. And in fact, I spotted the Merlin as well in the Thar Desert, around Thar area. The south was my last leg. So some of the key species from Kerala is the Sri Lankan bay owl. We were looking for this bird, and the guide took me on a 1 hour long trail trying to look for this bird. It was a fantastic trail with leeches all over my body, and they used to come off after an hour or so without noticing the itch. So finding the Sri Lankan bay owl was a real tough thing. And funnily, he had another set of guests coming in, and the owl doesn't just change its place. So they got to see this owl in like 5 minutes. So I was like, oh, the struggle. They didn't get to, I mean, feel the actual, I mean, get to understand the real feel of the bird and how it is found. So that's a wonderful experience from Kerala. And then this Nilgiri pipit is from Munnar. This bird, I was like struggling to find the bird. And finally, when we are about to return from the national park, turn back at the extreme end of the Eravikulum National Park, we are turning back, and then it had stopped raining, and this bird happened to just jump and show itself on the ferns. So this was a fantastic sighting as well. Now, this is the Palani laughing thrush and the Nilgiri Sholakili are from Kunur in Tamil Nadu. And I was alone in this area, birding on my own. I had just hired a driver from Coimbatore, and then I was looking in the center. So this was my these birds are getting a special mention. That's why, because I enjoy solo birding or with friends. So this trip was all about solo birding and just enjoying it on your own. In while in Bangalore and Udupi for the pelagic trip, Francis and I went looking for the Jordan's bushlark, and finally we were happy to find it in the right habitat. Basically, it prefers laterite, if I'm not wrong, and then we finally found a place apt for it. And the season also was challenging. That's why it was quite difficult, but it was a fantastic sighting for us. Again, this yellow-throated bulbul is a bird which is found in a very small pocket in India. It's found in Telangana as well and in Karnataka. So what makes this bird special is to see this bird, you have to go to Hampi, and the Hampi, the area where all the ruins are, that's where the bird is also there. So the natural history and the world, what do you call the world history is together, I would say. My words are a little chaotic, but anyways, you get the message. Now, coming to Andaman, my last destination, without doing the Andaman Islands and the Nicobar, which I couldn't cover, the trip isn't complete in India. So the mangrove whistler and the Andaman woodpecker were one of my key sightings. No, one of the key sightings there, because the whistler is one bird is also found in other mangroves like Bhitarkanika and Sundarbans, but it's not an easy bird to sight. You will generally it doesn't show up. So that was a fantastic sighting. And Andaman woodpecker is just a beautiful bird. So some of the other sightings that happened during my trips across India is the Palas cat in Hanle. The western Hulu gibbon is from Namdafa. The tiger, I saw it in Corbett and Pilibhit and I think Dudhwa as well. And this one is from Kana. So it was a fantastic thing. The king cobra, it was my first sighting, and this happened in Corbett. I just wanted to show the close up, but I did get the whole. I mean, it's such a lengthy reptile. Fantastic sighting it was. This fishing cat is another elusive nocturnal species, and I was fortunate to get to see this fishing cat. Besides that, all the other mammals, though, obviously one gets to see elephants, of course, and the nilgai, the deers, antelope. Some of the things that I couldn't actually see, I was unfortunate, I would say, is the bear's pochard. It was being sighted in Maguri Bill. I was on the boat, and the bird was there, and it was in December. The bird was like half a kilometer away, and the boatman, he spotted the bird, and he said, "Come on, let's see it." And I took a step off the boat, and suddenly there was lightning, and the whole flock of birds just flew away, and then started pouring, and then my only chance to see the pochard was lost. The spot-bellied eagle owl is found across major regions in India. I have traveled to so many of those places where the eagle owl is. In fact, Corbett, had I got a chance to stay in Dikala, the bird was a sure shot there. So this one has eluded me. The Austin's brown hornbill is one other bird. I spent so many days in Dihing Patkai, but there was not one sighting in 2022 by me. And unfortunately, in 21, when I was in Dehing Patel, sitting and waiting for the grey peacock pheasant to come, the brown hornbill was right on top calling, and then I had ignored the bird. So it's still a. I haven't seen the bird. I've just heard it once. Then Asian stubtail again. It was in Dehing Patel. It was calling from inside, but then we decided not to pursue it because there were other birds to see, and it's not an easy bird to sight. It would just keep disappearing from the space. Likewise, for white-bellied heron, I tried Namdafa, I tried Wolong. These are the key places where it is seen. I haven't even been to Manas, but it's a rare sighting there. But then again, this bird has eluded me a lot. Chestnut pink cuckoo is having a wide distribution. I've been to so many habitats. It has in fact come to Karnala, and it was there in Karnala on the 28th or 29th when I was in Mumbai and I was coming to Pune. So in fact, I tried it that day. It had been reported a day earlier, but it was an unfortunate day for me. The reason I was in Mumbai for the Dovich, I didn't spot the Dovich. I didn't find the chestnut wing cuckoo in Karnala. I tried Lonavala for the lesser kestrel, which I hadn't seen that year, to add to my big year list. I was unfortunate because of the cuckoo. I lost a lot of time, and by the time I reached Lonavala, it was almost dusk, and the bird had just settled for the night. Likewise, Ward Slogan has eluded me. I've tried Manas and all the key habitat locations in Arunachal where the bird is seen, but we are yet to meet. One bird from the only bird which I couldn't see in the Nilgiris was the Nilgiri thrush, and I knew where to look for it, but unfortunately there was no day to take out. Ruddy kingfisher is one other species which has eluded me. I searched the South Andaman mangroves, and we've tried in Sundarban twice, and I've been to Manas twice also. I am yet to see this bird. Likewise, orthonon bunting is a rare sighting in the Andamans, and it had been sighted in the Andamans by another guide, but we failed to find it. And someone had seen it that day as well in the same space. So these were some of the key birds that have eluded me. So basically, some of the experiences that I was sharing to you, which have been quite memorable, is the Kana bird survey, the road trip to Corbett and Uttarakhand, UP. And from the and near the end of May, I decided to split with my friend who was still on the road trip. And I decided to take a bus and head to Chopta. So on the way, we reached Kund, and there was a huge traffic jam. It would have lasted for 3 hours, I think. So one of the person in the bus decided to take a trail through from Kund till Ukimat. It's a inclined climb. So I had been talking to him, and I decided to join him. And then he said it's like just like half an hour. And like after 2 hours of trekking at night with all my gear and backpack, which I had been carrying for a month, managed to reach Ukimat where we rested for the night, and then where I rested for the night, and then headed to Chopta the next day. The another memorable place is Ladakh. Anywhere you go to Ladakh is so picturesque and so majestic and so daunting and magical. It's a fantastic place to go all the time. Then obviously I love the mangroves and the coastal areas. They have a different charm. The pelagic trip was one of the memorable trip because birding in the seas on a fishing boat is an experience that you should have. If you don't know to bird, no worries, but do go for fishing on a boat in the seas. Then the Nilgiris, I really enjoyed the terrain and the habitat, the stunted forests, the national park. On the tea gardens, one of the reasons, I mean, that stunted forests are disappearing, but that's a fantastic region of India. Then obviously the Northeast, without which birding is incomplete. And yes, the Kutch and the Thar, the deserts of India. So these are also fantastic burning places and places to explore just for the beauty, a different kind of feel. So this map just highlights the districts I covered in 2022. Although you're not because it's not zoomable now, from the presentation. A lot of districts are missing, but these were the regions I was able to cover district wise. The Andaman and and Leh. So the only places I couldn't cover was Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Himachal, Bihar, and Jharkhand. Other than that, I passed through, I birded in rest of the places. And yes, of course, Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, and Tripura. These places I have yet to explore. This is the Mars booby from one of my pelagic trips. That's why it's in the ocean, in the sea, sorry. I'm sure you would like to know some traveling trips if some people are new to birding. Then you need to be prepared with medicines and you need to have a travel list so that you don't forget out on these things. Water is always a very important part of the traveling kit. You should always have some water. Then protective gear, you'd never know what will happen. So you need to have for rain and sun, snow, everything. And writing and keeping a record is very important in bird watching. I think it's disappearing now, but I use eBird for tracking the birds, but you need to also record about all your experiences and just have a it gives you a good recall. So my other recall is through my images. When I look at an image, I'm able to tell the story behind it, even after a few years. So that's it. So have a this is another thing. Have a paper trail of most of the things. Whatever routes you have planned, have it on paper. Tickets, if you have it on paper, it helps because one of the things is data backup or a phone backup. One of my trips after I was coming back from Agra, and from Rajasthan and then coming through Agra. On the train, my phone just died on me. So with that, I lost all my landscape and all the logs that I had kept. 3 months of logs which I hadn't backed up, so that was lost. So that was a terrible thing. But I did have my routes planned and tickets and everything was there in paper form. So I was able to make calls and make all the other arrangements without a phone. Also travel light in terms of clothing and material. But yes, hygiene and grooming material is quite useful. And in terms of gear, I carry a binocular and camera, and a recording device is also a fantastic thing to add. If you can't, then a mobile phone is sufficient. Batteries and spares and charger is important, extra as well. And back up your data regularly. You never know what will happen. Even the backup fails sometimes. And yes, if you have a travel companion, the journey becomes much more fun because you are able to share the experiences and just enjoy the whole feel. And also, it reduces the burden on you financially. Some of the just three observations in terms of conservation, which I found was wherever the local population is engaged in conservation through, say, ecotourism or bird watching or such kind of things, where they are having an income, conservation is successful, I would say, in those regions because it is a give and take thing. And when people are getting back something from the nature, they are able to also sustain the place. Otherwise, their livelihoods will be lost. Habitat loss and development, these are the balance which is very important in India. And some places we fail, and in some places there is success. And likewise, photography I feel is a boon and a bane because although it helps boost tourism and builds awareness, sometimes people, uh, photographers get lost in the whole thing and go to any extent to take a picture. I've seen that in national parks as well, in safaris, where even their pressure is felt by the guides or the driver, and then the whole ecosystem uh, is impacted. And I feel finally the people would also their livelihoods would be impacted if they pursue that kind of things where they get into pressure and then mara kind of thing happens. So these are some of the conservation observations which I have. And most importantly, I would like to thank all the people who have helped me through 2022 guides, hotels, and my family, my wife, and my friends like Francis and Tezun, and so many. I in fact put a Facebook post mentioning everyone. So I'll thank everyone again, and I'll be always thankful. And I feel there's another big year coming up someday, and this time I would want someone else to join me also for the big year. So the passion is continuing, and it has taken a form of a podcast. So this is a teaser of it. Some of you must have seen it. So takes 2 minutes. I'll just play this. One second. Come again.
Share computer sound.
Oh, hello.
Not audible. So you
Oh,
need to.
sorry. Yeah, I think I lost the screen sharing. Just a second. Is it now?
Yes.
Join us as we walk you through various habitats and exciting bird trails across India.
So this is a podcast by the name Bird Nuts, which we are running. So trying to cover the birds of India. Well, that's about my presentation, and open to questions and whatever is the plan.
So that was fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. Can you stop your screen share?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Adil. This was absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
You covered a lot of ground, and hats off to you. I'm a little jealous right now.
Thank you. The only challenge I faced while presenting was it was so quiet. I was like, am I speaking to myself? But then I used to look
Yeah.
at the number. Okay, there are people here. So
Yeah, and yes, this audience has really behaved themselves very well. So they've listened to every bit of you, whatever your experience was. If friends, if you've got any questions for Adil, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask him. He'd be able to share his experience with you or give you answers to your question. Go ahead and ask if you've got any questions for him. Also, Adil, you'll continue your journey, and then all those species and states that you've missed so far, I hope you cover
Thank you.
them in the next coming months and years, and increase your list, and then continue to share your experiences with the audience. So,
Yes,
friends,
I
anybody
would
has
love
any question? Yeah. So one personal tip, how to get more and more lifers. So Sachin is asking, no, Gurnur is asking, where is the best place to find woodcock?
Woodcock. I think you'll have to look into eBird, and there are few spaces, but it's not a very easy bird to find. So then I can right away can't tell you, but looking through eBird, it's available. eBird allows you to search and look at the target species and the possible habitats, and also when it was last seen, so possible locations as well. So the possible location would, and you have to also understand the habitat it is found in. So the possible location and the nearest possible habitat and the season and the time. That's the best I can tell about woodcock.
Sachin is saying, one personal tip, how to get more and more lifers. He probably wants to know, how do you get more lifers?
See, like I was telling you, last year the challenge was that I didn't know whether next month I would continue my big year. I didn't mention this earlier, but yes, because of this kind of travel, it affects personal life as well. So, but then whenever I was about to move, because I didn't have my plan in place all through, I used to decide a location, and then through eBird, I used to take out the list of target species and the target locations. So you can use eBird as a medium to find your target species and add your lifers. Also, if you keep looking at eBird and checking the kind of species being reported near your place, you will be able to add lifers without traveling.
So that's a good tip, Sachin, for you. Anybody else for more questions? Friends, I must tell you that this idea is being spearheaded by KB Singh. KB is not here right now. He's the moderator and the creator of Indian Birds, which is probably the largest Indian birding portal on Facebook. So it's a group. And if you're not a part of that group, I urge you to join it, because then you'd be able to see all the updates and whatever people are posting and what they're taking photographs, putting information. And you'd also be able to sign up for the WhatsApp group, be part of WhatsApp group to know more about it. And Asian Adventures has stepped in to curate these webinars for Indian birds. So we reach out to you to sign up for these webinars. The next one is going to be on harpy eagles. A friend of mine from Brazil is going to do it. His name is Everton Miranda, the man who's been researching harpy eagles for the longest time. And he's also a specialist on anacondas. He's dived with anacondas to study them. So you'd be able to meet him online in a few weeks. We'll keep you informed. If you've got any other question for Adil, please ask. Otherwise, I'll have to let him go. It's dinner time now. So Adil, I think that's about all, and it was absolutely brilliant. Friends, I've recorded this webinar, so in case if you missed out a bit of it or part of it, or you want to circulate it, I will be putting the link on Indian Birds group. And those who did sign up on Webinar Jam will get the replay link also. So thank you for being here, and we
Thank you,
hope to see
Mohit,
you
for
again.
hosting, and thank you so much. Thank you, everyone,
Thank you,
for
friends.
listening. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.